Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of the San Mateo City Council at 7 p.m. Monday, November 21st. I'm now going to call this meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, would you please? Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Now, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Here.
Councilmember Goethals.
Here.
Councilmember Lee is absent due to a vacation. Deputy Mayor Papan.
Here.
Mayor Bonilla.
Here. Okay, next we want to say that we're excited to have everybody here in person tonight, although we do still have abilities for people to attend remotely. So for those who can't be here, we have several ways to participate. For those attending in person, you need to complete a yellow speaker slip. I think there's some on the desk right in front of the city clerk, also some at the back of the room. And hand that to the clerks once you've filled it out, because we need to know how many people want to speak when we get to whatever the item is that you want to speak on. Be sure to include the item that you want to speak on the speaker slip request. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you'll be called on at the appropriate time. If calling in via telephone, press *9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press *6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for each specific item. So tonight, we have two ceremonial items. The first one will be recognizing Cheryl Angeles from the Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Mayor, I don't believe Cheryl is in the room, and I don't see her online.
Let's go to the second one. We can wait for Cheryl if she shows up. The next one, commendatory resolution for Deputy Mayor Diane Papan. And I believe that I have right here a special commendatory resolution.
Mr. Mayor, we have a presentation first.
Yes, sure. Presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right. Well, whoever made that, thank you. You did a great job. Now I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation. Commending Diane Papan for her council member service 2015 through 2022. Resolved by the City Council of the City of San Mateo, California, that Diane Papan has served the citizens of San Mateo as a highly regarded member of the City Council since 2015, serving twice as deputy mayor and once as mayor in 2019. And whereas a major change this year was the city's move to bi-district elections, changing the landscape of the city's electoral process, and her participation was instrumental in public understanding and acceptance. And whereas, in addition to her council service, she has been a leader in the community, contributing with distinction on various regional agencies and boards, including the San Mateo County Flood and Sea Level Rise Resiliency District, Highway 101 Express Lanes Project Working Group, City-County Association of Governments, where in all cases she worked hard to represent this community and the region on critical issues for the peninsula, and whereas her steadfast presence on the dais and out in the community meant she was a resource for many and highly sought after for her analytical skills, ability to ask probing and thoughtful questions, understanding of the long-term consequences of any proposed action, all as she worked hard to achieve consensus. And whereas, in addition, Diane had a keen mind for procedural matters and always assisted in keeping the process on track and clear for any member of the public. She was everywhere at once, always with time to hear a resident's concern, a perceptive listener with an open mind to ways to improve the community. And whereas her personal philosophy is not to take herself too seriously, which means her default approach is imbued with humbleness, which serves to contribute to her ability to closely examine any situation with eyes wide open, and to be tenacious at chipping away at issues, delve deeply into the facts, encourage candid exchanges, and consider all sides, all while spending energy investing in a positive outcome to any decision. And whereas Diane's signature was her engaging smile and wonderful laugh, she is quick with the joke and is known for her ability to take a joke. She likes nothing more than to establish relationships through conversation with laughter, which always served to make her an approachable presence. Now, therefore, the City Council does hereby formally thank and extend its deepest appreciation for the commitment, dedication, and heartfelt public service given by Diane Papan to all of the San Mateo community through her leadership, gift of time, and vision for the future as she moved to the State Assembly. We are so proud of her. Adopted this 21st day of November, 2022 by the San Mateo City Council. And at this point, I believe I need to ask for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can we have the roll call vote?
With pleasure, Mayor. Councilmember Goethals.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mayor Bonilla.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Papan, you want to vote?
Oh, yeah.
I thought we would get that.
Unanimous.
Yes, thank you. So now I'm going to ask council members for comments. Councilmember Goethals, your light is on.
I would love to start. Diane, it has been a pleasure to serve with you. You are dedicated to democracy. You were maybe reluctant, maybe a little bit reluctant to join the family business, but it has worked out fantastic. It has come as second nature to you. The best thing about Greek electeds is that we always eat well, which is fantastic. It has been an honor to serve with you. And at one point, we had 3 attorneys on this city council. What could possibly go wrong there? But this was a 10-year journey. And we saw so many of the photos where we were with the 101st or with our friends from Toyonaka, self-help for the elderly. One of the things that you did as mayor that I loved was our quarterly heroes, and Roscoe was one of your quarterly heroes. I could not have been more proud of that selection. That was so awesome. You were a powerful regional voice, which is one of the things that I think is the reason that so many people have voted for you for higher office. One shoreline, PCE, transportation, affordable housing, we're going to be relying on you for these things for the next few years. I heard recently that you have a sister. Maybe I can meet her later. As a council member, I always respected you. I always thought that you had our residents first in your mind. They didn't see behind closed doors when we were in those closed sessions, and you were fighting hard to make sure that everything was done fairly and in the best interest of our residents. I got to see it firsthand, so I was extraordinarily proud of you for that. As a constituent, I've always been proud of how you represented us. You know, as a resident of San Mateo, you're exactly the kind of council member who I would want. Thoughtful, smart, hardworking, lighthearted, the best. The best. And always in the spirit of John Lee, we can disagree without being disagreeable. And you embody that, and I know you will take that to the assembly. So that's as a council member and as a constituent, but really as a friend over the last 10 years, I have loved being with you. I've always loved sitting next to you at these events. And you bring fun. You bring fun to this. I cannot thank you enough for everything that you have done to support me, and your friendship means a lot, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you. I think when you were entering your mayorship, I was thinking about what I wanted to say then, and when I was thinking about the comments I wanted to make this evening, the same comments came up, and I think they're worth repeating. The same thought came up. I think it's worth repeating, and that's, you know, when you're up here, you just seem like you're in your element. It seems like you found your calling. I think that, you know, you get council members are from all over the place, all different backgrounds and stuff, but it just seems like you're one of the few representatives electeds that I've met that actually seems to really enjoy this job, like deeply enjoy the hard work, and that's it's a breath of fresh air to be able to serve with you in that capacity. I think that it's really, for me, been a privilege to serve with you these last 5 years. And I've always appreciated how when we're serving together up here, when it seems like we're deadlocked or there's just, where different council members are just speaking over themselves, it seems like you always had a knack to build consensus, to kind of bring people together. And I think that is a skill that's in very short supply, and I've always appreciated that about you. I appreciate how you see all sides of the issue, how hard you work to make sure you get every little detail, no matter what the issue was. I think that you're one of the few people who I've served with where I never got a feeling of where I never got the sense that you came to a meeting with your mind made up completely. Like you were there, you wanted to hear from the residents, you wanted to hear from your constituents, you wanted to hear from us. I've always appreciated that, and I think that that's just a wonderful, wonderful trait. Your work ethic is admirable. I think there's very few people that work as hard as you do, and I've always respected and admired that. And I'm always going to be appreciative of when I was first running for office, how you provided mentorship for me when I was going through my first, and looks like it might be my only campaign. And it's really difficult, and you were always there. And I really appreciated that. And also my first year or two on council, you were a great mentor. And I'm very I feel honored to think of you as a friend, and it's going to be a little weird now criticizing Sacramento, knowing that you are going to be Sacramento, but I couldn't be more happy that you're going to be our representative in Sacramento, and thank you for everything. I appreciate you.
So I have to say that's been a journey being up here serving with you. And I have not had the same experience that Eric had, and I know that we have taken different paths to get where we are. But I've always appreciated that you did the work and you had well-informed opinions. And you were able to look at and consider even, I think recently with one of the, it was one of the reach codes. At the last hour, we were discussing something, we were kind of stuck, and I mentioned something, and it made a difference, and you clicked in, you said, you know what, I can see that. And so I appreciate that, because nothing's done until it's done here, and even then, sometimes it's not done. But I appreciate that you have been here, and you've always been very thoughtful. You've always listened to everybody very carefully, and you give everybody a fair hearing in your own mind. And that's, I think, all we can ask anybody to do. And I think that we didn't always agree on everything, but I think we agreed on more things than we disagreed on. And quite often, I appreciated your help when we were discussing some of the many very important issues that we've worked on. So I thank you. I look at your moving to Sacramento as another opportunity, because I know that I'll be seeking to work with you on something or other. And I'm hoping the door will be open there as I'm approaching, because everybody knows, I'm leaving the council. I'm not going to make this about me, but I'm going to keep working on things. So, Diane, I look forward to seeing you there. And I thank you for all of your hard work. So, that said, here we go.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And now we have some esteemed, I think, a representative of our Congresswoman Jackie Spear, Brian Perkins, here to make comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, Vice Mayor Papan, Congresswoman Spear has entered a statement into the congressional record speaking about your career to date. And it's a very long statement. It discusses all of your local accomplishments, including, as was mentioned, housing and transportation. I wanted to note the work that you've done on sea level rise, which we've worked on together so well. And then I wanted to read the last 3 paragraphs, I believe, actually the last, 3 paragraphs. It says, Diane Papan's father, Lou, served in the State Assembly, and she is therefore steeped in the history of the institution. However, I know that she will be her own person, as she's proven to be during her time on the City Council. In fact, some lobbyists may ignore her individuality and attempt to ingratiate themselves by appeals to her father's memory and sensibilities. Diane, as intelligent and talented as she is, may wish to remind them of their folly by keeping a desk sign close at hand. It might read, Diane Papan, proudly Lou's daughter, not his clone. Serving an elective office is a privilege. It is especially so when you are able to see the immediate impact of your work, as is possible when you serve in the California legislature. In our present times, so much depends upon state law. Diane is a strong supporter of the reproductive rights of women, a supporter of California's assault weapons ban, and wants California to invest in wildfire prevention. She will be able to see these priorities and others turned into concrete action in the years ahead. I wish Diane Papan, her husband Dan Lentini, and their daughter Alexa all the best in the years to come. Congresswoman Jackie Spear.
Thank you, Brian.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. And say thanks to the Congresswoman. So I need to see, Madam Clerk, do we have any other special guests with presentations?
Not at this time. For the record, we do know that because we were doing this a little earlier than usual, there's some things, special things coming from some of our other partners, and we will be delivering those to you. And I do have one speaker slip right now, and if anyone else would like to comment for Diane, please bring me a speaker slip. The first one speaker is Charles Stone.
In that case, we'll open the public comment period. Thank you, Charles.
Come on down. You've just won.
Good evening. I bring warm regards from Mayor Julia Mates, who is about to be the first ever directly elected mayor of Belmont and is still the current mayor. She wishes she could be here with you tonight to express her tremendous regard for your service to the city of San Mateo, our favorite sister city in Belmont, but she can't. She had a pressing engagement. I want to start off by noting it must be awful to sit up there with Diane, because I was at each one of your swearings in, and Rick, Joe, Eric, you look awful. You've aged. Diane doesn't look a day older.
Oh, go on.
And that has to be rough every meeting. And you should apologize to them for that when you can. But seriously, Deputy Mayor Papan, my friend Diane, you know, Joe gave it, I think it's due, but I want to restate that you really bring the truth to being able to disagree without being disagreeable. You and I have certainly gone 13, 15, 26 rounds on issues. We may not even still see eye to eye on some of them, but we've come to have tremendous mutual
Surely I've
respect.
straightened you out, haven't I?
See?
You still have both
Someday
eyes,
you'll
Charles.
understand that I'm right. It's okay. But we've come to have tremendous mutual respect for one another and be able to come together and do the good work for the people. I have never doubted for one moment why you are here, and that is to make the city of San Mateo, which is already a great city, even better. I have never for one moment doubted your incredible passion that we should all try to duplicate. You bring such strength of caring to this job that frankly, after doing this for 9 years, it's rare. People get in the job, they get tired, they get worn out, and that passion fades. I've never once seen your passion fade. In fact, if anything, it's grown. Yeah. And, you know, I want you to know, as a father of daughters, I can only imagine how proud your daughter must be and how proud you should be that you have been such an incredible role model for her. I hear her aunt is in politics somewhere too, but maybe I'll meet her later too, I don't know. Diane, thank you for your service to my old hometown, San Mateo. They are very lucky to you, and they owe you a debt of gratitude that can never fully be repaid, and I look forward to seeing the incredible leadership you demonstrate in Sacramento.
Thank you, Charles. Madam Clerk, any other public commenters?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The next commenter is Gina Papan.
She has to be nice.
Hello. I'm Gina Papan, and I'm proud to be Diane Papan's sister.
Is that
And
on the
I
record?
got that joke,
Is that
too.
on the record?
Yeah. Sometimes, yes, absolutely. We did get the joke, because it is sometimes, are you Gina's sister or Diane's sister? Truth be told, we just are so proud to serve the public, and you have been a prime example of that, Diane. Your passion for service and for listening to the community, each and every person in that community. I mean, it's just been so great to see you grow in this position and now at the state assembly level. It's just, I am so proud of you. I don't always agree with you either, but you are just such a strong and compassionate representative for everyone, and that has been seen throughout the county and through all the people you represent. You've been a strong leader in at so many different levels, and just new and important things. The sea level rise, just one example. The managed lanes. You've been so innovative and you've been collaborative. And that has shown in other elected people electing you to certain boards. And I'm just so proud of you. This is an opportunity. I get to talk for another minute. No, I'm just kidding. You've done a great job, and I look forward to your service in the State Assembly and us working together, all of us here in San Mateo County, with you at that level. So I love you.
Thank you, Gina.
And our next speaker is Alexa Latini.
Alexa.
Oh, no. Be nice.
Hello, Mother. I wasn't planning on coming up to speak, but I feel like I feel like it would be fitting for me to like tell you how incredibly proud I am of you. And I apologize if it's just like a bunch of word blob, but I'll start from the beginning. It kind of just feels like yesterday when you were like, we were talking with the Hosners at our house, like, oh my God, should I run? Should I do this? Like, but I feel like it was just so incredibly brave of you to do that, because I can't imagine how much doubt you must have felt about going into the race, and the way that you handled that pressure with so much poise is so inspiring to me. So thank you so much for being a role model for me for so long, and teaching me that you can take your job seriously, but you don't have to take yourself seriously. And I think that's really important to recognize. And I'm so grateful that you could be my mother. And trust me, you guys, like, we don't agree on a lot of things. Like, I hear that being a common theme, but maybe different things. But I think what's important is our way that we can conflict solve that so easily, and that we will always reach a resolution no matter how stupid or divisive the issue may be for us. And so I'm incredibly grateful to call you my mom, and you are just a superhero. Like, I don't know how you manage to do this, be a lawyer and run a nonprofit, do all these things at once, and still just be such a kind and loving person to everyone you meet. And it's kind of crazy now that we're gonna like have such new experiences. Like, I'm going off to college, and you're gonna be in the State Assembly, and that's gonna come with a whole host of challenges, but I'm so glad that we can get through that together. And I know you're gonna do great things on the counts, on State Assembly, as I know you've done here. So thank you, Mom. Love you.
Thanks.
Next speaker is Dan Lantini.
Oh, my gosh.
Mr. Latini.
Oh, boy, you guys must be relieved. I'm Dan Latini, and I'm Diane Papan's husband. I'm very proud. So I'm going to be brief. And the one thing I've learned from Diane is she's surgical, and she applies brevity, which we can all appreciate, right? So I'm just going to say how incredibly proud I am. I know what Diane is going to, we're on to the next phase here. And I know with her, she follows her heart. It's always with the utmost integrity and conviction. You may not always agree with her, but I know she's going to serve her community very well. She's going to be a strong and a tour de force in Sacramento. And again, you've inspired me, you've inspired their daughter, and you've inspired many young ladies coming in behind you. So thank you for that. And I love you.
Oh, thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jen Hermesmeyer.
It's hard to get that one right. Ooh, I love microphones. I'm going to start off by saying I agree with everything you say, Diane Papan. But Alexa was saying, back when you first started thinking about running, I had no idea all that I was going to learn sitting alongside you in the Lincoln driving the streets of San Mateo. I know it like the back of my hand now. And I look forward to driving around the streets of Sacramento with you as well. But, I never knew as much about this city as I do through you, nor was I as passionate about the things that need to happen in the city as I have learned through you. So thank you for all you do to educate the people around you about the importance of being part of the community and participating in the community, contributing to the community. And I look forward to seeing what you do in Sacramento.
Thanks.
And I love you too.
Thank you.
Rich, are you planning on speaking?
I don't want to step in front of somebody. Tell me when. Okay, so the young always teach me, and I learned a new term tonight, word blob. And so here comes some more word blob, because I really didn't have anything prepared. But I was surprised that Diane had some questions about whether she could win, because I have an old phrase that in for a nickel, in for a dollar, and I got in for $1. I had no question in my mind who was going to win this race. And I'm happy that it turned out the way I expected it to. I've been involved more years than I'm going to tell you, because then you'll know how old I am, and working for Papan people to elect them. And I wondered when Diane was going to take the plunge. I served as a delegate with her on United Homeowners when she was a delegate from Baywood, and saw her in action there, and have known about how strong she is. What I've seen with Diane is when she believes in something, she can be extremely fierce, and you really need to get out of her way. And I've seen her be so compassionate for people. So I just want to say that I'm so happy with the results. I'll be there helping you and anyone else that you need to help from now on. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the city and how good you've been to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe we have no other speakers.
No other speakers. Thank you very much. Then I think we'll open up the floor to Diane Papan.
JP, the one, the only. Well, you all talked about how so hard I worked and all that. I thought maybe now's the time I should tell you I was getting paid hourly. You didn't get the same. I kid with love. That's all I can think of. So I do have a few prepared remarks. Thank you for everyone to be here and to say such kind things. I really do try to be just who I am, so I appreciate hearing that that's okay sometimes. So I'm thankful for the honor of serving this incredible city that I have for the last 7 years. Sorry about my voice. I will try my best to get through it. And this service has been about community for me, and municipal government, as we know, is very much affects people's sense of community because it's so immediate and it's so basic on many levels, from the streets to the parks to the wastewater to the libraries to community development, economic development, communications, climate change. All of it is very immediate at the municipal level. So I have loved this work because, as I always say, you can get twisted about what happens in DC, no offense, Brian, but really what happens here on 20th Avenue affects you probably more than you really know. And so during my time on the council, I've really been grateful to be able to work with our community and our staff on all of these matters. So I'm going to just touch on a few of the biggies because I'm so proud of being able to have been involved in some of this work. For infrastructure, we have the $1 billion Clean Water Program, which includes, as we know, the construction of our wastewater treatment plant. We got the North Shore View pumps and levee. We have street repaving. We're continuing to work on our pedestrian and bike safety, grade separations, and train horn noise. I know is going to continue. We'll continue to work on it. As for our library, we redid the kids' part at the main library. We redid the branch library. We're saving another library from falling in the water. And as I think most of you know, I've been a big supporter of the library. We worked at raising money for Chromebooks, which I saw as a great equalizer in our community. And the library continues to help people in an ever-changing job economy. A lot of adults seek out the assistance of the library. Park and Rec did extraordinary things during COVID, including distance learning center for our most vulnerable kids, providing meals to seniors, the opening of the Burrell Park, redoing the playground at Beresford, can't forget that, that's huge, redoing the tennis courts in Central Park, and the ice skating in Central Park, which is going to go on for quite a few years. Community development, of course, master plan, housing element, ADUs, and here's where some of our most challenging work has occurred. And we continue to work as a community on this, and it is where we must continue to truly listen to one another. We've done a lot for affordable housing. I'm so incredibly proud of this city using its own land, and in most instances, keeping that land, both with Montera and Kiku Crossing, to do 100% affordable housing. This council worked so collectively to make sure that affordable housing not only included just studio apartments, but 2- and 3-bedroom apartments that would house families. We were committed to it. 1-bedroom apartments that would house seniors, have multi-generational living. A lot went into it, and a lot of thought went into it, and it's one of the things I think I'm most proud of. We all know we have a housing shortage, but this city was very determined to do something about affordable housing when it had the land to do so. So it's something that I will always take with me with great pride. With economic development, we know it was pushed to the limit during COVID, and I was very proud of how nimble the city was to try to find ways of increasing revenue for our business, especially restaurant businesses with parklets and whatnot. We have communications, we've got a great newsletter. We do a lot on multiple channels to try to do outreach to ensure that all of our residents are informed and aware of issues that directly impact them. We have sustainability. We've adopted 2 rounds of REACH codes. We ban plastic in restaurants. We continue to work on trash capture, which is hugely important. And these are just some of the few things that we're going to do going forward. In short, in my opinion, I think the city has been hard at work for our community, and I could not be more grateful for the residents of San Mateo for allowing me to represent them and to work to improve the community on their behalf. I know that I am only a link in a long chain of people who have made our community what it is. And I trust that those who come after me will be dedicated to the unfinished work as the work forever goes on. I'm also so grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve in Sacramento. I can tell you that I already see how service in municipal government provides a great platform for state service. And San Mateo in particular represents a strong example of California's strengths and its challenges. And this city is really a microcosm of much of what happens on the state level. So it's been a great platform, I will tell you. I stand ready to listen to all sides, build consensus, and fight the good fight to get something done, which will include helping cities accommodate the state's demands. We can't continue to demand things like more housing without the resources and the infrastructure to support it. So I will tell you that that is one of the missions I am on as I head to Sacramento. My parting wishes for the next council are to spend time and effort to really listen to positions that may be different from our own. This council chamber, it is not meant to be our own echo chamber. This community belongs to everybody, and it has been my experience that effective representation and leadership includes the fortitude to understand differing points of view. If we don't do so, then we're not serving the community at large. We're only serving ourselves. The beauty of San Mateo, in my heart, is its diversity, and we must embrace it by listening empathetically. Only then can we find a way that truly serves our community at large. I want to thank my family. Alexa, I don't know who's going to be more homesick leaving home. It'll probably be me and not you, but that's not a bad thing. But I want to thank you. You know, you all are a united force that make it possible for me to serve. And the thing that I love most is that you all have never wavered in your belief that my service is an important and worthwhile endeavor in life. And you have been so willing to make the sacrifices along the way to make it happen. I am eternally grateful for your understanding and your strength. I want to thank the staff, both past and present. You know, I love you all. And it has been amazing to collaborate with each of you. I continue to be impressed by your dedication to the work, and it's important to the day-to-day life of our residents. Your passion for the work is inspiring, and may you never change. You are so invaluable to this community. Lastly, I want to thank this community for the opportunity to serve. I have loved meeting each and every one of you along the way, even if we didn't agree, Charles Stone. It has been just a delight to my heart, and it is true. This work gets me out of bed in the morning. I find it so incredibly challenging and rewarding and fulfilling, and it shouldn't be about me, but to a certain degree, I get so much out of it as well. So I've been so honored to be able to serve. It has been the dream of a lifetime. My friend Jen that spoke, I will tell you one quick anecdote. I applied to become a council member for a vacancy, as we talked about earlier tonight, and I didn't get it, which was fine. And then I was very clear I was going to run for an open seat in November. But that night we went home after the application process where we made presentations, and Jen had gone to Draeger's and gotten me this cake, and then it had this little, or maybe it was written on the cake, and it said, "Is this seat taken?" Which was so cool, and it ultimately did get taken by me, and it was, you're right. It took a lot of courage to run, and I was a little chicken. But it has nothing ventured, nothing gained, certainly, and that definitely applies to me and my journey here in the city of San Mateo. So I conclude with one simple word that I think really says it all, and that is onward. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
let's see what you got.
I didn't even look back there. That's
It was hiding.
I know. That was good. You're good. Really good. Okay, let's see. It's wrapped in gold. I like that.
More wrapping. Layers.
Okay. Let's see here. I think you need to be. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. She did a lot of things, not unwrap the gift. Let's see. Okay.
It's a test thing.
I know exactly. There we go. Okay, we're getting to it. Oh, cool. Oh my God, that's really cool. I will show you. Hold on. I can smell the wood. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. So let me show you. It is, oh, sorry.
I got it.
Turn on my mic here. This is so cool. So it is a wooden cutout of this district, I'm assuming. This assembly district. Oh my goodness. I shall cherish it and hang it with pride. It says this city? This city.
San
I didn't
Mateo.
look that closely.
I can see Foster City there.
Oh,
in
yeah,
San
yeah, yeah,
Mateo.
yeah. Well, I think we cut out Foster City, and that might be kind of over near Harbor Town.
No, I don't know. I've been looking at it. So.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Councilmember Diane Papan, 2015 to 2022, and it is of the city of San Mateo. Thank you. I shall cherish her. Just her. That is so amazing. Thank you, thank you.
And I
You want me to
believe we
read the
have
back? I'll read the back real quick.
another gift
Oh,
coming
my
for
goodness.
you.
It says, thank you for your leadership, commitment, passion, and service to the community. You have left a lasting legacy and will be missed. With appreciation, the city of San Mateo. That's outstanding.
I can put it aside for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh,
And
lovely.
here you go. Gratitude from all of us.
I'll take it. Oh, thank you. We'll just leave it right here. There we go. Thank you, guys. Thanks for everything.
If we could have Dan and Alexa Lantini come to the lectern.
Dan and Alexa, please approach.
Oh, we should take a picture.
Go ahead.
On behalf of a grateful city, we thank you for sharing your wife and your mom with us. We could not have been happier to have them.
The top's up. Great kids. Okay.
You know what my tax is?
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Come on down.
Come on up, John. Assembly. Okay, and I think that concludes our honoring of Assembly Member-elect Diane Papan. And we'll now go back to the first ceremonial item that we had, which is to recognize Cheryl Angeles from the Chamber of Commerce with the proclamation. Cheryl, would you like to approach?
That's very nice.
I'll do some reading, Cheryl. I'll read to you.
Okay.
Whereas the mission of the San Mateo Chamber of Commerce is to promote a vibrant local economy through active leadership, advocacy, and engagement of the entrepreneurs, businesses, and community members we serve. And whereas for 10 years, Cheryl Angeles has been at the helm as president and CEO of the San Mateo Chamber of Commerce, upholding its mission and guiding this organization through some of its most challenging times. And whereas in her time with the Chamber, Cheryl oversaw operations and board development and advocated for the San Mateo area businesses while developing and maintaining strong partnerships throughout the San Mateo business community. And whereas Cheryl oversaw the redesign of the Chamber's signature leadership program, which boasts an alumni network of over 900 members countywide. Cheryl founded Women in Action, a quarterly breakfast for local women business leaders. Cheryl also oversaw the creation of the San Mateo Chamber Foundation, which is the 501c3 branch of the Chamber. And whereas, in addition, Cheryl guided the Chamber's Green Business Certification and received a $10,000 grant from the County of San Mateo to certify 20 more small businesses in the area. And whereas, there's more, Cheryl. Cheryl proved herself to be a passionate and dedicated leader, maintaining financial solvency throughout the COVID-19 crisis. Cheryl launched the Business Assistance Center to help small businesses survive and thrive during the pandemic, and led the Chamber's participation in several community initiatives for COVID-19 testing, vaccinations, and blood drives. And whereas Cheryl increased the Chamber's participation and visibility in a variety of local events, including the Wine Walk, Central Park Ice Rink, Downtown Streets events, the San Mateo County Fair Parade. She also introduced Rediscover San Mateo Community Fest and created the largest downtown community event, the Bacon and Brew Festival. And whereas it is with great appreciation for Cheryl Angeles that we extend our best wishes for the lasting success of this organization and wish her well as she embarks on her next exciting chapter. Now, therefore, I, Rick Bonilla, Mayor of the City of San Mateo, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize Cheryl Angeles for her 10 years of dedication to the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you so much.
Yay, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Cheryl, before we get a great photo with you, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I don't have anything prepared, but as hard as it is to follow Diane, I am so pleased to do so only because I admire her so much. And I love her sense of humor, and I know she's going to do a great job in Sacramento. And I was so impressed with your family, your daughter and husband, and I believe that Alexa will someday be in politics as well. So it's great to see that family bond. I am honored to receive this proclamation. Thank you so much. It wasn't expected. I was just told, I think Thursday finally, my staff said, I think you need to know that on Monday evening, you've got to be at the city council meeting at 7. And, but they wouldn't, they wouldn't give me any details. So they were trying to keep it a surprise, I guess. Anyhow, I have been so privileged to work here in San Mateo for the past 10 years. It has a piece of my heart. I am so grateful for the support I've gotten from Drew, Kathy, Larry Patterson, the council members that I've worked with before, and Patrice has been an absolute gem. Just, have enjoyed, you've got a, true, wonderful person here. So I just am so proud of some of the things that we've done. It hasn't been easy all the time, but we did have the Bacon and Brew Festival for 5 years, and I think our first Community Fest this past August was a very huge success, and that definitely can grow. And, like you, Rick, I've got some things up my sleeve too. I think you'll still see me around. I'm not gonna, go home and watch soap operas and eat bonbons all day, so I can't do that. I need mental stimulation, and I need to be around people. But so proud. I'm so proud that I've been a small part of the history of San Mateo. So thank you very much.
Pretty good marks.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Pretty good remarks for not preparing anything, Cheryl. We're going to come down and get a photo with you.
I'm getting better.
Oh, do we have one more presentation? Brian Perkins is recognized.
Hi. Nice to see you.
So Cheryl, Congresswoman Spear also wanted to offer her congratulations on your outstanding contributions to the community. So if I could read this certificate, it says, in recognition of Cheryl Angeles, congratulations on a remarkable decade leading the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. You created Bacon and Brew, redesigned the leadership program, guided the chamber and local businesses through the pandemic, worked to stem the tide of fraudulent ADA lawsuits, yay, created a quarterly breakfast for local women business leaders, restored solvency to chamber operations, and made the chamber an even larger part of the lives of city residents. All of this was accomplished while keeping a smile on your face and a place in your heart for the people of San Mateo. Thank you for your outstanding civic leadership, Congresswoman Jackie Spear.
Thank you so much.
Let's get a photo. Come on down.
Thank you, board member, for being here. Donovan Bissell.
There you go. All right, and now down to some more normal business. We're going to go to the consent calendar. Madam Clerk, could you please read the consent calendar? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Deputy Clerk, please read the consent calendar.
With pleasure, Mayor. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed and considered separately. Item number 3, City Council meeting minutes. Item number 4, San Mateo Consolidated Fire Department Board appointment. Item number 5, Police Activities League reorganization and appropriation. Item number 6, Downtown Business Improvement Area, ordinance adoption. Item number 7, San Mateo Public Library Meehan Branch Cafe operating lease agreement. Item number 8, Downtown San Mateo Grade Separation Consolidated Railroad Infrastructure and Safety Improvement Program application. Item number 9, Marina Lagoon Vegetation and Water Quality Management appropriation and amendment. Item number 10, Gasoline Fuel Procurement and Delivery Services amendment. Item number 11, Renewable Diesel Fuel Procurement and Delivery Services amendment. And finally, item number 12, Transfer of Property Rights from County of San Mateo to City of San Mateo amendment.
Thank you very much. Is there any member of the council who would like to pull any one of these items from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there any member of the public who would like to pull any one of these items for discussion?
I have no speakers.
No speakers. Okay, last chance. Good.
Motion.
Back to the council. Motion?
To approve the consent calendar.
Motion and second, Madam Clerk. Let's call the roll, please.
Councilmember Gothels?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Papan?
Yes.
Mayor Bonilla?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. On to public comment. This is for items that are not on tonight's agenda. Members of the public wishing to comment on any one of these items that are not on the agenda tonight, any item you may have in mind which is not on the agenda tonight, may address the City Council at this time. State law prevents council from taking action on any item that is not on the agenda. Your comments may be referred to staff or for follow-up. Public comment is generally limited to a total of 15 minutes. However, that is subject to council's discretion and can be extended if council wishes to do so. If needed, an opportunity for additional public comment may also be provided later in the agenda. Madam Clerk, how many public comments are we looking at?
We have one speaker in the chambers.
One speaker in the chambers for
Mr.
now.
Brad Silver.
Any remotes?
No remotes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brad Silver. I'm with the Citizens Committee for San Mateo County Gun Buyback. It's a long name. I'd just like to make sure everybody knows that our next gun buyback is coming up on December 3rd. And hope you all have a copy of the flyer for that.
Right here, Mr. Silver.
That's it. These have been extremely successful, and I want to thank the city of San Mateo. You know, we've been doing this for 4 years now, and we started this whole thing. The sheriff said he would support the gun buyback, but he had no funds to pay for the guns. We had to do that. So we approached all the municipalities in San Mateo County and begged for money, which we did. And we got money, and we got money from San Mateo on several occasions. That allowed us to get started. And as you can see this tally sheet, we've now gone through 5 gun buybacks. We moved 2,071 firearms from San Mateo County residents, including 613 handguns, and then we have 1,178 shotguns. We have assault weapons. We now are getting ghost guns for the first time. And now last time we had 2 combination ghost gun assault weapons. So the county along the way has decided this is a very worthwhile endeavor, and now they are basically funding us. So I'm not asking you for any money tonight, which is a really good thing. I'm sure you appreciate that. We are well funded for the next few gun buybacks because of the county. But it would not have been possible if it was not for the city of San Mateo and San Carlos and et cetera, to give us money and allow us to use those funds to buy back these weapons. So our next gun buyback is on December 3rd. You're all welcome to come out and visit us if you like. Our committee, what we do is we greet each individual person in line to sell their weapon. We hand them a cable gun lock if they need one. We hand them a snack because sometimes the wait is fairly long and they get a little hungry. We tell them they can't go to the bathroom, which is the worst thing because they all want to go to the bathroom when they're not allowed out of their car. We talk about gun safety. We talk about suicide prevention. We talk to these people and make sure they know it's a community event. And I think when they all leave, not only leave with money, but leave with the feeling that they've done a good thing for our county. So thank you to San Mateo for the funding, and we're going to keep going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Silver.
There are no other speakers.
Seeing no other speakers, we're going to close the public comment period. bring it back to the council. We are now on to item 13, which is a public hearing for the 2013 solid waste collection rates for 2023 rate year. May we have the staff presentation? And I believe we have with us tonight Jack Johnson, Waste Management Supervisor. And it looks like we also have Azalea Mitch here with us tonight, Director of Public Works.
Hi, my name is Jack Johnson.
Turn it on, Jack. There you go. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jack Johnson. I'm the Waste Management Supervisor for the City of San Mateo. I'm here to talk to you about the solid waste proposed increase.
Jack, could you pull the microphone down a little bit? Yeah, that'll help. That'll help. Thanks.
Thank you. So the solid waste process and what rates cover. Most of the work of the solid waste team is managing waste diversion, keeping things out of the landfill and recycling valuable resources such as paper, glass, metal, cardboard, and organics. Let's consider for a minute what actually happens on garbage pickup day after the typical resident has put out their bins to be taken away. As you can see on this slide, on the top, a Recology truck comes and picks up your recycling. They take it to San Carlos to the Shore Recycling Center where it is sorted, and then it goes out. The bottles and cans go to domestic manufacturers to be recycled. Paper, cardboard, newspaper, and plastic goes to offshore manufacturers for recycling. Another truck comes to your house and picks up your compost, where it's taken to the Shoreway Transfer Center. A portion of it is made into slurry. Some of it goes to Santa Clara. Most of it goes as far away as Tracy to composting facilities. Some of that does come back as free residential compost. And a third truck comes to your house and picks up your garbage, and they take it to the Shoreway Transfer Center where it is consolidated and taken to the Ox Mountain landfill in Half Moon Bay for final disposal. So 3 trucks, each going to a series of places, some of them pretty far away. And while there is no extra charge on your Recology bill for recycling or organics collection or processing, these services aren't free, but they are very important. And also on your bill, there is no mention of all the city's efforts to keep San Mateo clean and reduce waste. Our anti-litter programs, the trash capture programs to prevent trash from going into the bay, all of the street sweeping that we do, and the public outreach and education, our e-waste collection and shredding events, all of the free recycling that happens at the Shoreway Center, and some for landfill closure. So let's remember as we go forward tonight, what we refer to as the solid waste rate or the garbage rate or the garbage bill actually includes many more services. And the annual rate review process is what we've been doing with City Council since August. Rates are reviewed every year by the council, and once adopted are effective from January the 1st to December the 31st of the next year. And the city is required to follow the California Constitution when setting rates, which means that all the rates must be based on the actual cost of service. Currently, residential rates do not cover the cost of service. And there are 20,784 such residential accounts in San Mateo. Commercial rates largely do cover their costs, and soon 100% of them will. There are only 2,674 such commercial accounts in the city. And some background. We have received a good bit of public comment that the proposed rate increases are due to inflation or designed to punish those who produce the least amount of waste. The fact is that the city has long been and remains committed to waste reduction, but regrettably, because of state laws, we are no longer able to fund our waste, recycling, and composting programs in the way we had been. So how did we get here? In 2006, in order to promote recycling and reduce waste going to the landfill, San Mateo, like many progressive communities in the country, adopted a pay-as-you-throw system. But in the intervening years, California did not meet its landfill reduction targets established by law. So in 2016 and 2022, new regulations from the state came into effect mandating recycling and composting. Neither is voluntary for anyone in the state any longer, regardless of how successful any particular community such as San Mateo may have been. And because the California Constitution, through Prop 18, requires rates to be proportional to the cost of the service to the parcel, we can no longer use the pay-as-you-throw model and must transition to a true cost of service model. So what do we need to do that? Well, we need to raise rates for those service levels not covering their cost of service. And unfortunately, it is those customers producing the least waste who received the highest incentives over the past 15 years who are the ones now requiring the most readjustment. Based on that, and I should note this is the 6th public meeting in the past 2 years we've discussed this topic, the council direction in 2021 was to begin a realignment of rates based on a cost of service study conducted by HF&H and reviewed by the City Council. And accordingly, rates were raised last year to initiate the transition. What this table demonstrates is the amount by which each of these residential rates is still behind, even with the increases adopted last year, the actual cost of the services they receive. So precisely because 20 and 32 gallon service received the highest incentives of any since 2006, they therefore need the biggest increase. Last year, it was 199% and 112% respectively. Council also chose to use reserves to cushion the blow as much as was practicable while maintaining a healthy fund balance and to phase in the increases over several years instead of one big increase last year. So in other words, we are in the second year of a multi-year rate realignment that will need to continue until the actual cost of service is met. Council will be reviewing rates every year to monitor the realignment, and customers will receive a Prop 218 notification each year Council proposes a rate increase for any reason. We have also received public comment that those subscribing to higher volumes of service aren't paying for the extra amount of waste they are sending to the landfill. Once everyone is at their actual cost of service, meaning that the fixed cost of servicing one subscriber with a 20-gallon black garbage cart and their neighbor with a 96 black garbage cart will be paying the same. But the 96-gallon user will still pay more to cover the variable costs of the larger amounts of material they are sending to the landfill, the recycle center, and the composting facility. So there still will be a benefit of producing less waste of nearly $50 a month. So, cost of service alignment aside, for the coming year, to meet our obligations to Recology for the collection, processing, and disposal costs, and to cover the city's costs for the public services we provide, that is, garbage, recycling, and compost collection, processing, and disposal, the city's street sweeping program, our trash capture projects, our anti-litter and public outreach, all of our special events, and the landfill closure costs, for the next year, we need $29,003,005. In August, Council directed staff to use a combination of reserves and rate increases to meet these costs. Council recommended a $4 per month increase for 20 and 32-gallon residential cart rates, a $2 per month increase for 64 and 96-gallon residential rates, and a $2 per month increase for 20 and 32-gallon commercial cart rates. Commercial cart rates for 64 and 96-gallon container sizes remain flat, and commercial solid waste and organic bins remain flat. And this is because residential rates are the ones not yet at their true cost of service, while commercial rates for bins and roll-offs already meet their cost of service, so they aren't increasing. Here's how we compare to similarly situated cities in our area. As you can see, we are still behind most other cities. Behind in price, I should say. 20-gallon residential subscribers are paying $19.59 per month this year, and we propose they pay $23.59 in 2023, while their true cost of service is $49.39. It should be noted that from this chart, Hillsborough and the West Bay Sanitary District have already fully adopted their 218 cost of service increases. Others are in the process of doing so. Redwood City is beginning the transition this year, and Foster City is working to begin the transition next year. Soon, all of our fellow members in the SBWMA will have completed or be in the transition phase in. In other words, we are not out in front on this issue or adopting a policy from which other similarly situated communities are immune. And this is going on all over the state. So to reiterate, rates must cover the cost of solid waste services, including garbage, recycling, compost collection and disposal, and city fees. And while in prior years, rates were structured progressively in a pay-as-you-throw model, we can no longer do that per law. The rate structure proposed moves the city closer to accurately charging for the cost of service for each customer base. Additional increases will be needed in future years, and San Mateo rates are below average of comparable jurisdictions. This is a timeline of the public meetings and steps we've taken in 2022 for the consideration of 2023 rates. We had a study session on August the 15th. Council directed staff to mail a public notice on October 3rd. On October the 7th, the public notice was mailed. And tonight, on November the 21st, we're having the public hearing. If the council chooses to adopt the rates as proposed, they will become effective on January the 1st. This concludes the recap of where we need to be and how we got here. Tonight is the official public hearing to consider the proposed 2023 rates, and this is the process we will follow, which is also established by law in Proposition 218. Council may ask clarifying questions. The mayor will open public hearing and take comment. We will check to see if there are additional written protests. The city clerk will tally the written protests and determine if the threshold has been met, and then the council will decide whether to adopt a resolution to establish the 2023 rates as proposed. And I'm happy to take any questions, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions from council? Okay, it appears we have no questions from council, so let's open the public comment. At this time, I would like to open the public comment hearing. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment on this item? Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker and received by the City Council for consideration, but only written protests will be tabulated towards a determination of whether a majority protest exists. Written protests may be submitted until the end of this public hearing by submitting them to the City Clerk. Madam Clerk, do we have hands raised for public comment at this time?
Mr. Mayor, we have no public comment in the chamber and no hands raised on Zoom. I'll give another moment if there's any hands raised for public comment. And nothing in the chamber.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Then we're going to close public comment on this item. Were there any additional public protests received during the interim, Madam Clerk?
Since we have determined there are no more public protests coming in at this time, I am now closing the public hearing, sorry. We have tallied all of the written protests to the proposed increase in the solid waste, recycling, and organic collection for the 2023 rate year, and there were 31,687 notices mailed to property owners on the tax roll, and a majority would require one more than half that number, which would be 15,845. The number of valid protests received is 32. Based on that, it is clear that a majority of owners have not protested the fee increase, and the council is free to take action to increase or otherwise modify the fee.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. So, based on that, I think that the council, since there were no questions, when Majority of the owners have not protested the fee increase, and the council is free to take action. We're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we, what is it, that we're approving the increased rate structure?
Proposition, yes, the increased solid waste rate.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Deputy Mayor Papan,
Yes.
Councilmember Goethals,
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Bonilla.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, thank you very much. And that concludes this item. And we'll now move on. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. We'll now move on to item 14, Transit-Oriented Development Pedestrian Access Plan. This is a hearing. It's for adoption. And I believe we have with us tonight on this Nicolette Chan and Sue Ellen Atkinson. I see them now.
Good evening, Mayor Bonilla and council members. My name is Nicolette Chan, Assistant Transportation Planner for the Public Works Department. And with me, I have Sue Ellen Atkinson, who is our Principal Transportation Planner. Tonight, I'm going to present the Draft Transit-Oriented Development Pedestrian Access Plan. The goal of the plan is to increase safety and comfort for pedestrians within the city's transit-oriented development areas and near high-quality transit. TOD areas are generally located within a half a mile of a Caltrain station. In our city, our TOD areas are located around our 3 Caltrain stations and on El Camino Real, where the Samtrans ECR route bus stops are located. With this plan, we're focusing on TOD areas because there is an expectation that there is a higher use of transit within these areas. With the 2020 Bicycle Master Plan, we were able to focus on paths of travel for bicyclists. And now with this plan, we had the opportunity to look at the path of travel for pedestrians so that those that live within TOD areas, live and work within TOD areas can access transit safely and comfortably. The project aligns with council priorities to enhance safety for pedestrians. And just to note that this plan is a guiding document. The recommended improvements are not standards, and the plan does not directly result in changes to the general plan or municipal code. As mentioned on the previous slide, this plan does focus on TOD areas which are around our 3 Caltrain stations. We have 3 study areas with 2 overlapping slightly. The first is downtown, which is located around our San Mateo Caltrain station. Second is Hayward Park, around our Hayward Park Caltrain station. And then third is Hillsdale, also around our Hillsdale Caltrain station. These are the main components of the draft plan, and I'll go over each of them individually tonight. Beginning with the community engagement and outreach chapter, this chapter provides an overview of the outreach that was conducted. We used both online and in-person methods that included pop-up events at various locations within the study areas, flyers, and an interactive online mapping activity. The chapter also provides a summary of the feedback that we heard, which included concerns about existing conditions, but also what currently works, such as closing B Street to vehicles. One major highlight of the engagement process was that this was the first city project to conduct in-person engagement at Mi Rancho Supermarket and at the Peninsula Regent Senior Living Facility. Next, we have the needs assessment chapter, which combined what we heard from outreach with the data that we reviewed to look at existing conditions in the study areas. And we used those pieces of data to identify key opportunities for improvement within the study area. So looking at the downtown study area, one area of improvement that was identified was improving access to the northbound platform, particularly for those accessing the Caltrain station from streets north of the station. And then in the Hayward Park study area, we identified some pedestrian crossings on the west side of the tracks that could be installed or improved and would greatly improve the safety for those accessing that station. And then at Hillsdale, there was some sidewalk that was missing on the west side of Delaware Street, just south of the 25th Avenue entrance. We also have a chapter titled Priorities and Recommendations that outlines the prioritization process used to identify where our projects would be located within the study areas. We developed these metrics shown here and assigned them a weight according to how closely they aligned with the goals of this project, and then we placed them on a map. Wherever the metrics overlap the most is where our project locations are. And so looking at the map, those locations are shown with a purple line or a purple dot. We then gathered these locations together generally by geography to create our priority projects. And so looking at the downtown study area, we have 3 priority projects, which are the El Camino Real, North Station Access, and Downtown Gateway. Within each priority project are individual improvements that can be implemented separately from one another, and this gives us flexibility with implementation while still allowing us to achieve the overall goals of that priority project area. And so to show those improvements, the plan includes cut sheets for each of those priority projects. And so here we have the North Station Access Priority Project, which is within the downtown study area, and it's showing streets just north of the San Mateo Caltrain station. Each of the icons you see here are improvements, and collectively all the improvements improve access to pedestrians on pedestrian routes to the Caltrain station. The icons are defined in the countermeasure toolbox, which is found within the Priorities and Recommendations chapter. These improvements directly respond to the findings from the Needs Assessment chapter. And what's really neat about this toolbox is that it can also be used for other streetscape and roadway projects unrelated to this plan. And there's one other location where you'll see these icons, and that's in the cost estimates table, which is within the implementation chapter. Some of the improvements do have 2 cost estimates, the first being a quick build cost, which allows us to build the improvement in the short term using temporary and more affordable materials. And then we also have a hardscape capital cost, which is for the full build out of that improvement. The cost estimates you see here do include a percentage for planning, design, and construction management. And then the total cost for all improvements in the plan adds up to $22.5 million. I do want to note that this is a very high-level cost because there are multiple variables and options that could change during the design phase of these improvements. Within the implementation chapter, we have identified strategies and an action plan for implementing projects in this plan. The first strategy is leveraging other projects. Once the plan is adopted, we will look to see if there's any overlap between the projects in this plan and any ongoing or upcoming city projects that we have going on. We'll also look to other transit agencies and their projects to see if we can overlap with those projects as well. And other transit agencies includes Caltrain, Caltrans, and Samtrans. We'll also apply for grant funding, which is something we already do for pedestrian projects. But for implementing projects in this plan in particular, we'll look to grants that prioritize pedestrian safety. Strategy number 3 is integrating into transit-oriented development, and strategy 4 is fund with local resources. I'd like to break these 2 down in more detail, so we'll go into that in the next 2 slides. So strategy 3, integrate into transit-oriented development. Currently, we do require developments to upgrade their frontages to meet city standards, and we do this using ad hoc exactions and conditions of approval. The challenge here is that developers aren't always able to meet city standards because of conflicts with the city's municipal code and existing ordinances, and there's also sometimes limited right-of-way. The plan proposes considering looking at a number of options to allow developments to upgrade their frontage to meet city standards. And some of those options that we would consider looking at are changes to circulation and right-of-way allocation. Strategy number 4 is fund with local resources. As I mentioned before, we do apply for grant funding currently, and we also have funds from our capital improvement program that we use to implement pedestrian projects. The challenge with this is that we do have limited funding available from our capital improvement program. And so proposed in this plan to implement the projects in the plan, we will use capital improvement program funds to implement projects and to use as local match for when we apply for grants. But the plan also proposes conducting a fee study to identify appropriate mechanisms to fund off-site pedestrian improvements. And so through this fee study, we hope to identify fees that can be a new revenue source for the city that can be used to fund improvements in this plan. And as an example, one of the fees that we could look into is a vehicle miles traveled impact fee. The draft plan was presented to the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission on October 12th of this year. The commissioners were supportive of all the implementation strategies. They also wanted us to highlight the importance of lighting, particularly for those who commute after dark. And so we've added additional text in the needs assessment chapter for that. And then commissioners also had improvements that they wanted to add to specific project areas. Within the Hayward Park study area in the El Camino project, we had support from public comments and from commissioners for adding a no right turn on red restriction from northbound El Camino Real to 17th Avenue, and so that improvement has been added to the plan. I do want to note, we also noted in the plan that this would require coordination with Caltrans for implementation. And then on Hillsdale Boulevard and El Camino Real, commissioners supported additional improvements to improve the access for pedestrians crossing this intersection to get to and from Hillsdale Caltrain Station and the Hillsdale Shopping Center. So we already had high visibility crosswalk as an improvement on the east leg of this intersection, and we've now added additional upgraded crosswalk improvements to the north and west legs, and also additional lighting. So staff's recommendation for council tonight is to adopt a resolution to adopt the City of San Mateo Transit-Oriented Development Pedestrian Access Plan. And if adopted, city staff will begin to look into ways to implement projects in the plan, which include assessing funding mechanisms, evaluating potential changes to the municipal code, updating development standards, and integrating projects into the capital improvement program as feasible. Thank you for your time. Myself, Sue Ellen Atkinson, and Matt Goyne from Fair and Peers are available to answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Let me bring back to the council then for questions. What do we have? Okay, seeing none. Over there, I do have a couple myself. You mentioned the VMT, possible VMT impact fee. Is that indicated at this time? Would that help us? And what was the position of the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission on that?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the question. The Commission supported doing a fee study to evaluate types of fees that might result in a funding source for these projects. A VMT impact fee is one option that could be considered. We are seeing some projects that are outside of TOD areas that do have to do a full CEQA analysis, including a VMT analysis. And it's possible that VMT impacts may not be able to be mitigated through on-site improvements. So a VMT impact fee could give an option to pay into a fund to fund VMT reducing improvements elsewhere in the city. We are seeing that elsewhere in the state. But in terms of if it's something that could help us in the future, that's something that the fee study would help us understand.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have another question. You were showing the map of 31st and El Camino, and I've had some experience recently at 31st and El Camino, because if you're northbound and you're at that intersection in the right-hand lane on El Camino, or in the lane that's proceeding onto El Camino from westbound Hillsdale Boulevard, there seems to be an island that projects partially out into the intersection between the two northbound parts, which is the northbound El Camino and the northbound ramp from coming off of Hillsdale westbound. And there was a sign there, there is still a sign, one that says no left turn if you're on the right-hand side of that small median. But there's nothing there that indicates that you should not make a right turn onto 31st. There used to be a sign there that was a wooden sign. I forget exactly what it said. I have a photograph, but it has since been knocked off. It's broken. It's gone, right? So, and what you can see if you look at the curb on that extended piece of island is that a lot of people have turned right over that thing onto 31st Avenue, which is very dangerous because if people are coming up the ramp from westbound Hillsdale Boulevard, there's a big potential for collision there. So I just want to bring that to our attention. That's something that I think we need to look at, making sure it's coordinated while we're looking at the rest of that intersection. Because I'm not sure what the answer needs to be there, but I just want to make sure we have a look at that because it's kind of a dangerous situation right now. Okay, thanks. In that case, we're going to go to public comment, since there are no other questions here. Public comment.
We have Rich Hedges.
Thank you, Rich Hedges.
Hi, thank you. I couldn't help myself. I saw this on the agenda and had to wait from the last meeting. So I want to tell you that I served on MTC's committee that advised them on setting the original guidelines for TOD. Now we call it transit-oriented communities, which I think is a better title. And also it works differently. But when you're setting up a TOD, you have to have services, and plentiful. There has to be daycare. One of the most important things to cut down on trips, because they can be as high in the design guidelines for traffic studies, as high as 4 trips a week for families, because they run out of things. So when you put those things, even a small grocery store, close to higher density development near transit, it cuts down on the trips. How much that's necessary is that there's from 25 to, depending on the locations in the country, 33% trips that are only from commuting. The rest of it are for stocking the shelves, taking the kids to daycare. So daycare is really necessary, and I know it's hard to do, but it's really necessary. So I think that AB 2011 and SB 6 is going to create a lot of pressure in commercial areas near transit for development. So we really need to keep this in mind. The Passages development does not have enough services in it, quite frankly. It will have a grocery store and a 7-Eleven, and I think we kept the dance studio. So we really need to work on this. Trags, I think, is a good location for office, because the idea on transit-oriented development is people will walk a quarter of a mile or more from their house to transit, but they will not, when they get to work, especially if they're late, walk that far to a job. So having the housing a little bit away from transit is okay, as long as it's within a quarter of a mile, preferably, but as far as a half a mile. I mean, I used to walk 1.25 miles from my house on the east side to the Hayward Park Caltrain station, and there were a few others in the community that did. And I still walk that far often to get to transit. So please think of this when you're doing these developments, and hold the the developers' feet to the fire on putting in these services, or at least making them available. And I will be here helping you do that and making comment when we do transit-oriented development. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you. We have one remote speaker, Ryan Motoshimi. Please go ahead.
Good evening, San Mateo City Council, Mayor Bonilla. Thanks for the opportunity to address you. My name is Ryan Motoshimi. I am a co-lead for Move San Mateo, although my words are those of my own. And I just wanted to encourage adoption of the transit-oriented development pedestrian access plan. Thank you very much to Sue Ellen Atkinson and Nicolette Chan, as well as the consultant Baron Pierce for development of the plan, for the extensive outreach that went into it. And I'm glad that we have a list of forward-thinking projects that can improve the pedestrian experience in our transit-oriented areas. I think it's incredibly important given the increased rate of development that we do expect to see in transit-oriented areas, as it should be. I wanted to say that this list of projects and prioritization metrics, they're really seeds that require fertile ground to grow into actual implemented projects. And the fertilizer in that analogy is really the resources and the policies and guidelines and standards that the city, by leadership of the city council, implements. And I think that we still have to get there on those policies and guidelines in order to make sure that this plan is successful. So I am super excited that the plan is being adopted, and I think that it's great work. And we need to make sure that we don't stand in our own way in implementing a lot of these recommendations. And I look forward to, advocating for us to move forward on finding more resources to implement these projects, and also maintaining the political will to make the changes necessary in our guidelines and our standards regarding how much traffic, or how much inconvenience to vehicles that we're willing to impart in order to make some of these pedestrian safety improvements. And I look forward to, advocating on behalf of pedestrians in order to make those changes in the city. In addition to vehicle impact fees, I think we can also look at incentives such as increased density bonuses, above state density bonus potentially, or other creative outlets in order to incentivize developers to include these improvements into their plans when not required otherwise. I think that we can get both more housing and also more pedestrian improvements through looking at incentives in addition to fees such as VMT fees outside of TOD areas. So thank you again. I encourage adoption of the plan. I'm very excited, and we need to implement policies, programs, and guidelines that incentivize pedestrian improvements over vehicle improvements. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no other speakers.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public comment period and bring it back to the council for comments. Do we have any comments on this item? Deputy Mayor Papan.
I think it was just outstanding work, and it's very comprehensive with some specific goals in mind, and I'm ready to move to adopt it whenever you are. Thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you. I'd like to also comment and say that staff, I think, has done a great job here. I'm very happy, and I want to thank the Sustainability and Infrastructure Commission for this work on this also. Happy to see that their recommendations have already been included in the plan, and that I think this is definitely a big step in the right direction. Especially these areas are the prime areas for us to be taking these actions right now, where we're expecting more development to be happening as we're seeing plans being made in our general plan update process. So with that said, I just want to see then, I guess I'll ask for a motion.
So I'll move for the adoption of the plan, to adopt the resolution in favor of the plan.
A second.
That was a second from Eric?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Papan?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilmember Goethals? Yes. Mayor Bonilla?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, so thank you, staff, very much for that presentation. And now we're on to the final item on our agenda tonight, which is reports and announcements. Do we have anything from staff tonight? Madam Clerk.
I wanted to clarify my earlier comment in the study session that we are not going to be coming back and winnowing down the list and then bringing it back. I'll just go directly out for the appointee for the council vacancy. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it all.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. I'll speak more clearly. For the council vacancy item, we will not, as part of the process, come back, have me winnow down the list and then send it out. It'll just be the entire list sent out as a packet as soon as after I receive it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, nothing else from staff? Council members, anything? Okay, good. Then
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Hey, yeah, well, Deputy Mayor Papan reminded me, say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Enjoy your family and this nice, quiet time that you can take and enjoy. Thank you all very much. Meeting is adjourned.